Welcome back to Gif's the Garage. I'm Gif. The C10 all-wheel drive build. I'm still kind of torn between building this motor or not. There's so many other things I gotta do regardless. Like I gotta do the wiring harness and the fuel system. Might as well just do that on this engine, get it to fire up, run. And then maybe tear it apart and do the top end and a cam and stuff. Either way, the wiring and the fuel need to get done. And I'm gonna need to build an exhaust or get a set of headers or whatever, regardless. So we're gonna start doing all the stuff that has to happen either way, is what I'm saying. And then probably throwing the body on it and driving it. And building the motor, maybe a little later. Mostly because I don't want to spend $1,000 on a torque converter with a 3600 stall and then have $1,000 torque converter for a 4L60 that's inevitably gonna blow up because I'm making more power with all of that. You know what I'm saying? So we're building version 1 first. And then version 2 will be higher horsepower, blowing stuff up, 4L80 swap, and then at that point I might as well just shorten a 2500 frame. But that's a future GIF problem. Let's start doing the stuff we know we gotta do. So I bought some cheap little fuse block relay box off of Amazon. I've never used this one before. I'm sure we can figure it out. All the wiring information you need is right on lt1swap.com. You go there, Vortec 60, pinouts 03 to 07. And it, you know, if you're trying to thin out a whole harness and ditch a bunch of plugs you don't want and stuff, like the yellow ones you can delete, the blue ones you need to wire to something else. But I'm not really cutting up the harness. If it's stuff I don't need, I'm just gonna leave the plugs hanging over there. So if you come back, you come down, you can see this big connector. And it'll tell you all the stuff. It'll tell you which all these wires are. But I know from the ones I've done in the past, all the pinks are key on power to your injectors, your coils, etc., etc. The 2 orange wires got to go to the battery to supply constant power to the PCM for memory functions and all that kind of stuff. And one of these green ones is my fuel pump relay. The thick purple one is the trigger to the starter. So that's what I'm going to focus on right now. So I like to look at this really just to split up my pink wires, because there'll be groupings of coils and injectors and stuff like that. And I like to put them onto individual fuses. And so I know all these groups of 2 that are thicker, this one, that one, etc. There's 4 of them, groups of 2. Those are my injectors. So I want to put all those together. So there's my 8 injector wires. So I'll just tape them together real quick. Another big purple one is the feed to my starter. And then we can look like this E number 7 is O2 sensors, and then D number 8, which is the one down next to it. It's my other O2 sensors, which I don't really need, but we can group them together. This B10 down here. One's the MAF and one's the PCM.
One eternity later.
Twist. Half of these I don't probably need because I didn't thin out the harness. So some of these probably feed power like to the secondary O2s that I don't need. Probably like the air conditioning switch and some other nonsense, but I don't want to thin all that out. So we just lump them together. By the way, this isn't like advice or like a how-to. This is just how I'm doing it. Am I doing this right? Does this look good? Hey, right here. What do you think? Is it gonna run? She's like, nope. See ya. I guess I can just come over to this original chassis harness and pull my whole fuel pump wire out. Got my wires back to the fuel pump. I got a power and ground for the pump, and then the other two are for the sender. I don't know if I'll use those or not, but I mean, a gas gauge would be nice. Steal some crappy loom off of that old junk. And of course, like, some of this is a waste of time. I mean, it's not, but I'm gonna have to redo and finalize a lot of this because, like, the cab's not on, and switches and mounting and running wires. Essentially, this is just standalone using this chassis as a run stand, and then I'm gonna have to redo some stuff and feed wires into the cab once I mount stuff. But like I said, I'm impatient and ADD and like this, that, the other thing. Like, let's not do things in the right order. Since no one wants to buy this thing, it's just gonna become a parts car. So I need a battery and a radiator and whatever else I might want. I forgot, I need a side post, but that's okay. This will work for now. And I don't have an alternator, so we'll steal this wire and just pretend that that's my PCM constant. And if we just pretend this is my key on, because this is running to the battery right now. So key on to power all this. Oh, there's fuel in the tank and I don't have any fuel lines hooked up. But that all kind of works. Key on. Gross water stuff. Yeah, I don't think that's fuel. Let's do something with this. I ran the fuel pump and got whatever was, not a lot came out. And then just hooked up the nonsense triple hose clamped stuff somebody already had in here. No O2 sensors, no mass airflow, no gas pedal. Computer still has VATS. Ignition switch. Oh, tranny lines, oil cooler lines might be important. Means it was making oil pressure at least. Can't delete VATS unless I wire in an AWD 2 port. I think that's all I'm gonna get. And so instead of wiring an AWD 2 port into that chassis right now, we're just gonna use this again as a bench harness because it has a blue-green drive-by-wire PCM and an AWD 2 port. So we plug that in, plug this in, plug that in, battery up, plug this in, key on, fire the fuel pump, that's good. We are going to hopefully read this vehicle. P59, blah blah blah, 2003, 1500, 6-liter V8. Read. I could do this for free with PCM hammer and Tuner Pro and my little Bluetooth thing, but you gotta get all these files and download them and stuff for the operating system, and I don't want to do it. This is $100. Someone come buy this thing. 65 Dart, 6-liter LS with a turbo 350. The motor is a bunch of scrap I cobbled together with used parts. There's videos on it. Doesn't run great. The tune needs work, and it's got stock drum brakes on all 4 corners. But it runs and drives. I mean, just look how classy this is. Still got a headliner, a little mouse hole. It's got a patch in the floor back there. The body's shot. And I don't have a title for it. That's why I don't do anything with it. $2,500, come get it. Alright, and so now once we got the file, come over to system, VATS, none, and that's all we're doing right now. Oh yeah. Right. So now, in theory, with no VATS, it should start this car. Alright. So now, computer back in. Forgot I had to go get the battery back out of the dart. Should have no VATS. I also still have no O2 sensors or mass airflow or throttle pedal plugged in. And the battery's dead. It runs. Might need the gas pedal. How about now? Works for me. Alright. So now that I know it runs, I gotta do the rest of the stuff that has to happen before the cab goes on. I think I just gotta make fuel lines and an exhaust because I need the cab to go back on so I can do the brakes with the master cylinder and a steering column and a radiator support. So one step at a time. Exhaust, so I can have functioning O2 sensors and fuel lines that aren't a cobbled mess. So for the exhaust, I want to use what's here. I mean, I'd love to get a set of long tubes and stuff like that, but that might have to wait till version 2. We're on budget version 1. Obviously, this whole cross member, everything's closer now. So that's got to do like a swoop. And I've got the pieces that were on here, but they're a little short because somebody stole the cats off it. So I think we got enough stuff to piece some stuff together. We got enough stuff. I just gotta get a pipe from there to there. Down pipe from there to there. Turn these up over that. Done. And we just hit this with the old eyeball. Like that. Be close enough. Yeah, we can make that work. That's fine. So that's not pretty, but it'll work. That's not ideal. And I wish you could use the downstream O2s and just, because I have an extra one right there that's gonna be useless. But no. So O2 sensor acquired from the dart. All right, so I scavenged through some scraps. Found a couple chunks of bend. So if I cut this off square, we should be okay. I burned myself without gloves. The internet was right. If you stand back here and don't get too close, it's fine. Now I just gotta get down to those. Probably gonna chop this hanger off so I can just bring those up and cut up these to work somehow. So I welded that hanger. I just cut this one off because, I mean, aside from these, put a slit so I can clamp it. I don't have any clamps. O2 sensors plugged in. I gotta splice together the one on that side. And then I guess let's hear it with mufflers. There's still no mass airflow. Everyone on social media, it's not even running. Why isn't the fan running? There's no belt, you pine cones. So now, another day. I noticed when I was running it, fuel leak right there. Which is fine because my fuel lines just showed up. And like, I'm just a normal guy, so I just go on Amazon and buy the stuff that'll get here quick. I've used the Evil Energy stuff a bunch. It's on this car, it's on the other C10, it's on the Dart, and I haven't had any issues with it. Except when I used it as a power steering line next to my exhaust and that one caught on fire, but that's not their fault. I mean, I don't know what a Mercor is, but that's fine. I got a couple the quick connect fittings, and you know, their old $70 kit comes with 20 feet of line and like a dozen fittings, different bends, and so I think I'm just gonna go from the fuel rail, get rid of all this crustiness, and go right to here where the quick connect and the quick connect are for the feed and return, and just leave those because they're fine. So once I whip those together, I think we're ready to get the cab back on this thing. How many of you were cringing when I used the steel wrenches on the AN fittings? It's not important if you don't care. You know, Some of them might be a little chewed up, but it's fine. This is really not like me. I drilled holes. And put in stainless bolts instead of the old self-tapper. And like the frames painted, stainless bolts. We're going to SEMA. All right, check for leaks. Prime it a couple times. Don't see nothing yet. The giant vacuum leak goes to the brake booster, and I got a pump and an alternator on it. I think that's all I gotta do before the cab goes on. So with that being said, I need to clean up this mess so I can get wheels on this thing and roll it out to get the cab on. So I think that's it for this episode of Gifted Garage, where Gift did some wiring and some plumbing and some exhaust. And so you'll have to stick around for the next one to see more of this giant heaping pile of trash. Thanks for watching. See ya.